Britain in the 1960s was alive with possibility. New motorways were stretching across the countryside, factories were humming with ambition, and British engineering was earning genuine respect around the world. Society was changing fast, but one thing remained constant: the dream of owning a truly remarkable British car. From sleek grand tourists to refined saloons that whispered of old money and new success, the roads of Britain carried machines that stirred something deep in the soul. These weren't simply automobiles. They were statements of who you were and who you aspired to become. Today, we're counting down 10 British cars that everyone dreamed of in the 1960s. Let's begin our countdown with number 10. Number 10. Triumph TR4. When Triumph unveiled the TR4 in 1961, it arrived wearing an entirely new body penned by the celebrated Italian designer Giovanni Michelotti, and yet it felt unmistakably, defiantly British. Here was a sports car that didn't apologize for being practical. The optional Surrey top, a clever detachable hard roof panel, meant drivers could enjoy open-air motoring without surrendering comfort when the inevitable British drizzle arrived. Under the bonnet sat a robust 2.1-litre four-cylinder engine producing around 105 brake horsepower, enough to push this handsome roadster to 60 miles per hour in under 11 seconds. For a young professional in the early 60s, the TR4 represented freedom, adventure, and the unmistakable thrill of the open road. It sold in remarkable numbers, becoming one of Triumph's most beloved exports and earning admiration at home just as enthusiastically. Do you remember spotting one on a sunny British weekend? The next car, however, carried an entirely different kind of prestige. Number 9. Jaguar Mk2. Few cars in British history captured the imagination quite like the Jaguar Mk2. Introduced in 1959 and remaining in production well into the 1960s, it became the definitive image of sophisticated British motoring for an entire generation. The larger greenhouse, slender pillars, and elegant chrome detailing gave it an airiness that its predecessor simply couldn't match. Open the door and you entered a world of deep leather seating, polished walnut dashboard, and thick Wilton carpeting, a cabin that felt every bit as refined as a Mayfair drawing room. The flagship 3.8-litre engine could carry 4 passengers to 60 miles per hour in under 9 seconds, making it simultaneously the choice of discerning businessmen and, rather famously, the car of choice for certain individuals on the wrong side of the law. Bank managers and getaway drivers alike appreciated its talents. Can you imagine arriving at a formal occasion in one? The next dream machine took a different approach entirely. Number 8. Austin-Healey 3000. The Austin-Healey 3000 was the sort of car that made grown men stop walking and simply stare. Produced between 1959 and 1967, it represented the absolute peak of the legendary Big Healey bloodline, a muscular, low-slung sports car that wore its ambition openly. The 2.9-litre six-cylinder engine developed around 148 brake horsepower in its most potent Mark III form, delivering a driving experience that was thrilling, physical, and utterly rewarding. This wasn't a car for the faint-hearted. The controls required confidence and the chassis demanded respect, but those who mastered it were rewarded with something genuinely special. On rally stages across Europe, the 3000 built a formidable reputation, finishing consistently well and carrying the British flag with considerable distinction. At home, it became a dream pinned to the bedroom walls of countless young Britons who imagined themselves behind that large-rimmed steering wheel on some sun-drenched coastal road. The next entry, however, brought a very different kind of glamour. Number 7. Rover P6 2000. When the Rover P6 2000 arrived in 1963, it didn't simply join the executive car market, it redefined what a sophisticated British saloon could be. European Car of the Year for 1964, the P6 arrived with genuinely advanced engineering beneath its understated bodywork. The Dion rear suspension, a base unit construction borrowed from aerospace thinking, and a smooth 1,978 cubic centimeters overhead cam engine placed Rover firmly at the cutting edge. Yet it never felt cold or clinical. The interior wrapped its occupants in restrained luxury, neatly designed instruments, quality materials, and a sense of calm competence that felt quintessentially British. This was the car of architects, doctors, and quietly successful men who valued substance over showmanship. It was never the loudest car in the room, but it was invariably the most intelligent. Many enthusiasts today regard the P6 as one of the finest all-round British cars ever produced. The following entry, though, made no attempt whatsoever at understatement. Number 6. Lotus Elan. Colin Chapman built cars the way poets write verses, stripping away everything unnecessary until only the essential truth remained. The Lotus Elan, launched in 1962, was his masterpiece of that philosophy. Weighing barely 680 kilograms, it utilized a backbone chassis of Chapman's own ingenious design, clothed in a flowing fiberglass body of genuine beauty. The twin-cam 1558cc Ford-derived engine, developed by Lotus engineer Harry Munday, produced around 105 brake horsepower in standard form, a figure that delivered astonishing performance given the car's featherweight construction. 60 miles per hour arrived in approximately 7 seconds, figures that shamed cars with far larger engines. Driving the Elan was described by those fortunate enough to experience it as almost telepathic, the car responding to thought rather than effort. It attracted engineers, journalists, and anyone who truly understood what a sports car should be. Did you ever ride in one? You'll definitely recognize the iconic name arriving next on our list. Number 5. Aston Martin DB5. Some cars transcend their era entirely. The Aston Martin DB5, produced between 1963 and 1965, is perhaps the single most recognizable British car ever built. Its appearance in Goldfinger during 1964 elevated it from extraordinary grand tourer to genuine cultural legend overnight, and yet the car needed no cinematic assistance to earn admiration. The 4.0-litre straight-six engine, tuned by Polish engineer Tadek Marek, developed 282 brake horsepower and carried this Italian-bodied, British-hearted machine to a top speed approaching 150 miles per hour. Inside, Connolly leather upholstery, a polished alloy dashboard, and an atmosphere of barely contained power made every journey feel like an occasion. Fewer than 1,100 were built during the original production run, making genuine ownership an exclusive privilege reserved for the most fortunate. For everyone else, it existed in dreams and cinema screens and the kind of longing that only the truly beautiful can inspire. The next car chose a rather more accessible form of glamour. Number 4. A Mini Cooper S. Alec Isigonis designed the original Mini to solve a practical problem: deliver maximum passenger space from minimum dimensions. John Cooper looked at that same car and saw something else entirely: a potential racing machine. The Mini Cooper S, arriving in 1963, proved him spectacularly correct. Its tuned 1071cc engine in the original competition form produced 70 brake horsepower, but it was the extraordinary front-wheel drive handling, low center of gravity, and sheer nimbleness that made it genuinely devastating on any twisting road or rally stage. 3 Monte Carlo rally victories between 1964 and 1967 cemented its legend beyond any reasonable argument. But beyond the trophies, the Cooper S became a cultural symbol of swinging 60s Britain, classless, clever, and irresistibly cheeky. Film stars drove them. Architects drove them. Butchers' sons drove them beside dukes' daughters. Few cars have ever united British society quite so completely. The car arriving at number 3, however, approached things with considerably more composure. Number 3. Jaguar E-Type. Enzo Ferrari reportedly called it the most beautiful car ever made. Whether that precise quote stands up to historical scrutiny matters very little, because the sentiment it captures is entirely accurate. The Jaguar E-Type, launched in March 1961 at the Geneva Motor Show, stopped the automotive world completely in its tracks. Its aerodynamic long bonnet, fastback roofline, and muscular haunches represented a standard of beauty that no British manufacturer had previously achieved at this price point. The 3.8-litre XK engine delivered 265 brake horsepower, propelling the Series 1 to 60 miles per hour in around 7 seconds and onward toward a genuine 150 miles per hour top speed. All of this for approximately £2,097 at launch, a figure that seriously embarrassed far more expensive Continental rivals. Owning one placed you among Britain's most enviable individuals. Even standing still, it gathered crowds wherever it appeared. Which manufacturer, though, managed to outshine even this legendary machine? The answer might genuinely surprise you. Number 2. Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. There are luxury cars, and then there is the Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. Launched in 1965, the Silver Shadow represented the most significant technological leap in the company's history, abandoning the separate chassis construction that had defined Rolls-Royce for decades in favor of a modern monocoque body combining extraordinary rigidity with a lower, sleeker silhouette. Self-leveling hydraulic suspension from Citroën technology ensured occupants glided across Britain's roads in conditions of almost supernatural smoothness. The 6.2-litre V8 engine's output was never officially quoted. Rolls-Royce simply stated it was adequate, but road testers confirmed effortless high-speed cruising that belied the car's considerable weight entirely. Inside, hand-stitched Connolly hides, genuine veneer picnic tables, and acres of Wilton carpet created an environment that rivaled the finest hotel suites in London. For those fortunate enough to own one, it was simply the finest motor car that money could buy. The car at number 1, however, arrived at the very end of the decade and silenced an entire room of seasoned journalists the moment it was revealed. Number 1. Jaguar XJ6. When Jaguar's Sir William Lyons stepped onto the stage in September 1968 to unveil the XJ6, the assembled press fell almost entirely silent. What stood before them wasn't merely a new saloon, it was the definitive statement of everything British engineering could accomplish when vision, craftsmanship, and decades of accumulated knowledge arrived simultaneously at their finest point. The XJ6 offered a choice of 2.8-litre or 4.2-litre XK engines, both delivering performance that embarrassed far more expensive Continental rivals without the faintest suggestion of effort. Yet it was the ride quality that truly astonished, so extraordinarily smooth and hushed that independent testers genuinely struggled to find adequate superlatives. Inside, Connolly leather, deep pile carpeting, and polished walnut created an environment of genuine luxury available at a price that made Rolls-Royce ownership seem almost unnecessary. Doctors, directors, and determined dreamers across Britain all wanted one. It remains, to this day, one of the most complete motorcars Britain ever produced. The 1960s represented something genuinely remarkable in British motoring history. From the nimble brilliance of the Mini Cooper S to the aristocratic composure of the Bentley Continental, British manufacturers were producing cars that the entire world envied and admired. These machines carried within them the confidence, creativity, and extraordinary craftsmanship of a nation at the height of its industrial and cultural powers. They weren't simply transport, they were rolling expressions of everything Britain could achieve when ambition met tradition. Which of these magnificent 1960s British cars would have been your dream car? Tell us in the comments below, and do subscribe to Britain Rewind for more stories like this daily.